gives me great honor and privilege to introduce this next young man. I work with him on some other projects, and he is very knowledgeable about mental health, which is why I call him first. As men, if our mind ain't right, nothing's gonna be right. And we have to realize why our mind ain't right. There's attributing factors to everything that we do and say. Our habits are not just habits out of just natural, but something triggered that make those habits in you. Whether they're good or bad, we have to unpack why we have those habits. And Jason Scott is a tremendous speaker on this topic. He is a hip-hop aficionado, so I always like speaking with him because he can catch any phrase that I say, no matter what it is. So as I introduce this next man of God, I ask you to give him a hearty hand clap for Jason Scott.
Yet our best trained, best educated, best equipped, best prepared troops refuse to fight. Matter of fact, it's safe to say that they would rather switch than fight.
Thank you. So we know that Corey gonna be putting some subwoofers in the budget, Pastor. Okay? Because I don't know, we can work on that. I know. Good morning. Do I have your attention? Yeah. How y'all like that? Y'all awake? Okay. All right. So the man said, yet our best trained, best educated, best equipped, best prepared troops refuse to fight. As a matter of fact, it's safe to say that they would rather switch than fight. That's my favorite song. Not because of the way it sounds, but because of what it embodies. Y'all feel that? There's something about a timeless song, has traits to it. One of the traits is that it has to remain relevant. Raise your hand if you think Fight the Power can be relevant today in 2025. Probably more relevant than when we were kids. I was a kid growing up in Virginia Beach in 1989. I was used to going to the ocean front every weekend. That's when you could ride up and down the strip, showing off, keeping your eyes open for that next one. Hey, that's what it was about, right? Things have changed, but the song remains relevant. Man, it's so relevant, they're still playing it. I love it. So what I like about Fight the Power is that it's the story of how we all must wage war as men and as black men. We must fight politically, economically, and spiritually. We must fight from the time that we're boys until the time we're called home. According to Nasir Jones, and if you know it, say it with me, our fight is from the womb to the tomb. Thank you. Do I have any hip-hop heads out there? Okay, all right, don't be scared to say it. Ephesians 6:12 says, for we are not fighting against flesh and blood enemies, but against evil rulers and authorities of the unseen world, against mighty powers in this dark world, and against evil spirits in unseen places. The scripture highlights the importance of spiritual warfare and the need for divine strength. It's literally written in the word to get prepared to fight the power. Sound true? That's the way I read it. But you can't fight the unseen world or the dark world with your fist. I've tried. Can't be done. You have to fight it with your spirit, putting on the whole armor of God. So unfortunately, as men, some of us never take up the fight. Far too many of us never finish the fight. We don't answer the bell when it's rung. Right? Some of us, when we get knocked down, we don't get back up. And then others, when we go to that corner, we take a seat, we look around, and when the ref walks over to us and says, "Hey, what's going on? You ready?" We say, "No mas." Hey, yeah, it's tough. So by now, you should be asking yourself the question, why? Why don't we fight? Why don't some of us make it to the end of the fight? Why do some of us quit in the middle of the fight? The answer is pretty easy. We fall into traps. Maybe I should turn this on and get ready for my slides. I already said that, right? But here are the traps. Past decisions, past relationships, past losses, past wins, past offenses, past secrets, past lies, past shames. Now, I'm not wearing my glasses. I can't even see the screen back there. But I'm about to take you on your first exercise. And you don't have to worry about me seeing. If everybody's facing me, you don't have to worry about your neighbor seeing. If I hit on one of the traps that you've fallen into without a whole bunch of movement, I want you to keep your poker face. I just want you to blink one eye. Just blink one eye. I can't see you. I'm assuming some blinking because some of y'all nodding your heads. Your poker faces are terrible. Man, let's play some cards. Okay? We get derailed by the past and by the traps that we allow to control our present and forecast our future. Once we allow the past to have that kind of control, just like Mr. Todd said, it's safe to say that they would rather switch than fight. But let's say that a different way. They would rather quit than fight. My name's Jason Scott. How are you all doing this morning? I am the co-founder of Live Well by Dr. S.O.S. It's a collaborative care practice for mental wellness. I help men, young men, and entrepreneurs heal themselves from traps, move beyond them, and continue their lives. Continue on the trajectory that has been placed in front of them so they can become and manifest who they were called to be. I like the thought of that. The other thing I do is I teach out of middle school. It's something I never thought I'd be doing. As a matter of fact, I remember distinctly having a conversation with my mother, who is a teacher, or who was a teacher. She's been retired about 20 plus years now. And I said to her, I could never be a teacher. That's youth. That's youth. I was literally walking through the school trying to decide whether or not my daughter was going back to private school or whether we were going to find a school for her in Williamsburg, where we had moved, for her to attend. My hope was that this public school was going to meet all of her needs, because stroking them checks to Hampton Roads Academy was getting tough. So as I'm walking through, minding my own business, the principal says, we're looking for a technology teacher. I hadn't said 2 words to this lady. But I knew as soon as S.O.S. heard that, and she knew I had been looking for something to do, as soon as she heard it, I knew I was going to have to respond. And so that's how I became a teacher. There was no interview. First time that's ever happened for me. There was no interview. She said, well, if you think you can start, we can get you a provisional license for at least 2 years. So for the last 2 years, I've been teaching middle schoolers. It's been fun. I don't like the babysitting, but other than that, it's been fun. It's impactful. But let me get back on. So we talked about the impact of these traps. How do they catch us? How do we fall into them? I think most of you all know how we fall into them. It's just life. Sometimes we're not being mindful. We're just living it, especially as young men. And a lot of us get caught as young men into some of these traps. And then what was our past starts influencing our present. And if we're not careful, it's going to forecast our future. And some of us can't get out of that because it's difficult. It's designed that way. So in our formative years, which is, let's say, from birth to about 8 years old, that's the period when our brains are developing at their fastest rate. Our experiences then shape the core of who we're going to be for the rest of our lives. Erik Erikson was a 20th century psychoanalyst, and he created the key developmental stages. They are broken into 3 columns. The stage, which is the age range. The middle is the basic conflict that you're dealing with during that particular stage. And then the 3rd column is the virtue that you hope to come out on the other side of that stage possessing. Now, development is based on nature and nurture. It's the two of those things. Nature is genetically, what are you born with? Nurture is who's taking the time to pour into you, to build you up, to make sure that you have every opportunity to become who you desire to be, not what the world expects you to be. So let's go through this really quickly. In infancy, it's from 0 to 1, from the time you're born to about the age of 1. Your basic conflict is trust versus mistrust. You are learning. Can you depend on this person to deliver on my needs? Basic parenting suggests that yes, you should be able to trust that person, right? But if we're honest, we know that's not the case. We know that not every baby is learning how to trust their parent, because not every parent is being good to their baby. If they come out trusting, then they get to assume the virtue of hope. Y'all with me? All right. In early childhood, which is from 1 to 3 years old, they're working on autonomy versus shame. So autonomy is, can I make basic decisions? And you'll support me in them. Or if I try to make a decision and I make the wrong decision, do you make me feel bad about it? We've seen in Walmart, Food Lion, parents who make their toddlers feel bad over the smallest of things. When that happens, you're teaching them to be ashamed of the decision that they just made. That has the potential to shake their confidence for the rest of their lives. The virtue is their will. Will is about determination. You can strip a child of their will and determination to make it in this world between the ages of 1 and 3. Next, we have play age, which is 3 to 6. Initiative versus guilt. Can I take on a few tasks without you asking me to take it on? And be like, Mommy, Daddy, look what I did. And you reward me for that. You celebrate me for that. Or, if I take some initiative, and that initiative just happened to be that I opened a can of paint in the bathroom, but while I was in there, I finger painted Mom and Dad the best I could on the wall, Do you make me feel absolutely guilty about that? Seems like a small thing. It's huge. Because that determines whether I have the virtue of purpose. If my initiative is supported, I feel like, hey, I did a good thing. I did something on my own. I just got celebrated for doing so. So therefore, I will take on new purpose. Matter of fact, you can guide me into that purpose. Then we have school age, 7 to 11, which teaches us industry versus inferiority. Industry, once again, can I be productive? Can I produce? Can I begin to find my lane? Can I begin to determine who I am and who I want to be? We take on personality traits. We experiment a little bit. I experimented with, do I want to be a prep and wear all argyle? That was a thing. And my plaid swatch watch. Or, I want to, join this hip hop thing. Get me a Coca-Cola shirt. Yeah, some of y'all with me. Some superstars. Maybe y'all call them, I used to call them shell toes. Okay? That's where we are with that. So here's our first exercise, or I guess our second one. I want you all to travel back with me. We're going back to middle school. Or, if you're my age, it was junior high. I want every man present to travel back to that school. And I don't need you to remember every detail. Just consider, what was the key experience that impacted your life during this stage? Take a moment. I have several. I remember the first girl I wanted to holler at. One of my boys, we were kind of boys, he was a track star at the high school. So I went to him and said, yo, Randall, I need your help with something. And I was Jason everybody, okay? I was first generation suburbs. That's where I grew up. I had zero hood in me, none. When I used to go visit my cousins who live in Chesterfield Heights in Norfolk, they tell me, Jay, you can hang with us, just don't talk. Because we talk, if you talk, we don't get in a fight. I had a big mouth. I talked every weekend I was there, and we was fighting almost every weekend. So you're back in your junior high days. Raise your hand if you came up with that experience. Okay. To finish the story, Ray, I need your help. I want to holler at this girl. You know her. You're good friends with her. So holler at her, man. See if she like me. I got you, Jay. I got you. Randall had a big sense of humor. So he said, yo, she told us to come out to the bus stop at the end of the school day, and she'll holler at you from the bus. So I'm like, word. I walk out there. Yo, I ain't going to say her name. Like, yo, what's up? I said, Randall said you trying to holler at me. She says, I ain't know it was you. She said, you kind of cute, but you too corny for me. Out the bus window in front of the entire school. So yeah, my face was kind of cracked up. I had to make some decisions. Fast forward to college. I had her mom as a professor. Within 2 years of me trying to holler at that girl, she was pregnant. So what I thought was a loss was an absolute victory, gentlemen. That was protection. Protection. Man, it's good to reflect on stuff. So you have that thought right now of what that moment was. Is that moment still impacting who you are today? I bet it is for most of us. I tell that story because, yeah, it impacted me. I got over it, but I was a little bit more careful about how I did my introductions in public after that. So on the chart, we talked about the basic conflict of industry versus inferiority. And the virtue that was being impacted is competence. So as you travel back and you revisited those experiences, if they were healthy experiences, you took another step forward. Not all of our experiences are healthy. Nobody gets that lucky. If they were negative experiences and you developed that inferiority complex, that means you went into overdrive, a lot of us, trying to make up for it. You went into defensive mode, right? I did. Seriously. I had another one. Decided it was another shorty I liked. It was Valentine's Day. You know how they sell the roses? So you can give them to your Valentine. I'm standing in line, buying a rose. And at my school, Kempsville, it's mostly white people. This is how white it was. My graduating class was about 450 kids. There were 13 black people. Yeah, I know. It's terrible. So as I'm standing in line holding my rose, one of the cheerleaders behind me says, "Oh, Jason, is that for Boom Boom Boom?" I said, "Yeah." "Oh, I'm so sorry. She moved yesterday." I was like, well, doggone. So my first girlfriend was at a totally different school. That's the way it is. Now, I could have stopped there and just been like, this is not going to work for me. But I didn't. So you pull that one negative experience from the deep recesses of your mind, where we all place all that bad stuff. You know, we stuff it down, pack it down tight. Now, I want you to mindfully consider how it shaped you and whether or not it should still be shaping you. Or is it time to go ahead, revisit that experience, understand that potentially it could have been for your protection. Recognize it as such and embrace it. I ended up with the one I was supposed to be with. Thank the Lord I didn't end up with your girl. I probably have 8 kids instead of 3. I'm no good for that. So what I want you to do with that experience is I don't want you to forget it. I also don't want you to reopen this wound, right? Just jot it down somewhere. Jot it down so after the conference you can go home, you can pray about it, and think about whether or not this is something you really need to revisit and deal with. I'm all about the pragmatic. So while I'm up here, I'm not just telling you this stuff for a whole bunch of facts. I'm telling you so you can apply it. Y'all do want some application, right? Oh, okay. All right. Just want to make sure you're still out there. So we're going to talk about 3 issues that keep most of us rooted in the past. If you didn't notice, rooted in the past is the subject matter that LA gave me to speak on. So I'm going to do as I was told. The first issue that we stumble onto, and these are not all the issues. Let me preface this by saying this is not every issue that you can fall into. This is my top 3. The first one is unforgiveness. Unforgiveness is the state of being unwilling, or unable to forgive someone for a perceived, keyword, perceived wrong or hurt. Now, for every man that feels like being honest today, this is for you. When I gave the definition of unforgiveness, how many of you saw someone's face? Okay. So pay attention, because you don't need to pray about this anymore. God has confirmed it. You have some forgiving to do. It's that simple. If I say something about unforgiveness and someone's face comes to your mind almost immediately, that means you got some work to do. So if you're thinking about that face that popped into your brain or your imagination, so what? Forget that Bama. By the way, I say Bama all the time. I inherited from my brothers from D.C. If you happen to be from Alabama, I apologize, because I did get called out for that one time. Jay, man, you keep saying Bama. I'm from Alabama. It was a moment, I tell you. So unforgiveness keeps us hanging on to the wounds of the past. That means that we're carrying unnecessary baggage, unnecessary weight. It's weighing you down. And in this marathon called life, nobody needs to carry extra weight. If you've ever had an open wound, whether it's a cut, whether you just gave blood, or you just fell and scraped your knee, which everybody in here has done, that wound can become a distraction. Every time it tries to heal, what do? We pick at the scab. What happens? We open it back up. You know if you want it to heal, you leave it alone. You keep it moisturized. That way it doesn't itch as bad, and it heals faster. But just like that scab that we got on our knee, and I'm scratching right here because I still got a scar from 35 years ago, we know that scratching it is only going to keep the wound open and give it a chance to get infected emotionally, spiritually. That's what a lot of us are doing. With the wounds we gather, like the one I got at the bus stop. We scratch it. We examine it. We go back and we re-examine it again. We keep scratching it when it's simple. It was a thing. It happened. It's not the totality of who you are and who you will be. Sometimes you got to let it go. I had to let the bus stop incident go. I had to let the Rose incident go. I had to realize I was at Kempsville High School in Virginia Beach. If I intended on dating a black woman, I wasn't going to have a whole lot of choices. So my choices were, hey, go a different direction. I started exploring different schools. Just because we bump into an obstacle doesn't mean we're supposed to stop. It means you're supposed to continue the fight by going a different direction. So, stop holding on to the wounds. Unforgiveness also creates blind spots that lead to missed opportunities. Sometimes in life we get presented with legitimate opportunities, and I do emphasize sometimes, but during your development years, this is my next story. During your development years, you and your cousin got together. You had an idea. Like, yo, cuzzo, got an idea, man. Nobody in the neighborhood is selling chocolate candy bars. Let's get together, put our money together. Let's buy a box of chocolate candy bars with the Rice Krispies in them, the thick joints, kind of square. And let's go knocking door to door and sell them. Cuzzo was like, yeah, man, let's do it. What we doing it? Hey, as soon as you want to. Man, I'm straight this Saturday. Like, word, well, let's do it this Saturday. Look, I need $7 from you. Oh, I can do it, but I ain't got no money. So you can let me hold the 7. I'm all over that. We will go knocking door to door. So you're like, all right, cool, bet. This is my cousin. I go and reach in my piggy bank. Boom. I got the 7. I go and reach in my Nike shoebox. Boom, boom, boom. I got the other 7. Even if 3 of it was in quarters and dimes, I got it. We go to the store, we buy a box of candy. Saturday morning hit, we knocking on doors. Hello, ma'am. My name is Jason Scott. I'm from the Black and White Raiders, Pop Warner football team. We're trying to buy some jerseys. Can you support today? It only costs $1. You do 40 doors like that. That's your whole Saturday. And it's the fall, so days are short. So 5 o'clock rolling around, you told your cousin, look, we're going to meet back at the spot, count the money, and make sure we're straight. You go back to the meeting spot. Where cuz at? You wait 30 minutes. And then you look up. Like, oh, the street light's starting to flicker. Man, oh, come on. So you already know, I'm going to have to get with cuz later. Because I ain't catching what's going to happen if I get home when the street light come on. So you run home and you take the shortcut. We used to have shortcuts, right? You take the shortcut, which takes you across the lake. You know, you got to walk around the lake, boom. And as you walk around the lake, you got to pass the basketball court. So you running, you know, boom. You hear the basketball dribbling, boom, 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 boom. Oh, somebody must be balling. I still got to get home. But as you get closer, That almost looked like cuz. So you keep walking. And as you walk, you kick something. Boom. You look down and you just kicked the candy wrapper. Like, I guess he sold chocolate bar out here. But then you kick another one. You rolling up on the basketball court, and you at one of the good basketball courts, so it got a trash can. As you walking by, you happen to look in the trash can, and you see the box that the candy bars was in. He's like, hey, cuz, why you want at the meeting spot? Huh? Why won't you at the meeting spot? What? Yo, hold on a second, man. Hold on. Give me like 2 seconds. I got to score 2 points to win this game of 21. So you sit there and you wait. He was like, look, man, I tried the first couple houses, and they said no. And then I heard the basketball dribbling. Man, they was running full court out here, man. You should have been here. You know, and I didn't get a chance to go home, get nothing to snack. So I figured I had the chocolate bars. Man, I started eating them. And then, you know, everybody else was like, yo, let me get one. So, you know, I thought it was a chance, you know, roll up on some favors, get Bambas to like me. There's Bambas again. And you look at him like, yo, that's my $14. You didn't sell no candy bars. So now instead of being up $28, because every candy bar costs 50 cents, that's basic math. Now you're just basically recouping your cost. You feel like you've wasted your whole Saturday. And messing around with your cousin, the street light is now on. So on top of you only breaking even, wasting your entire Saturday, you go home, you catch the whipping, the rules is the rules, and you get grounded. So you don't even see nobody for 2 weeks. Harry Scott didn't play. You messed up. You caught it. So now what happens is you and your cousin grow up. Your cousin, he actually turns out to be pretty smart. He goes to Northwestern, one of the best business schools in the country. He winds up in investment banking. You're doing pretty well. You're doing all right. You know, you got some cash on hand. You're not hurting for anything. But your cousin, he's doing real well. He's got a net worth right now. Y'all the same age. He got a net worth of about 10 mil. And climbing. So every now and again, he gives you a call. And he says, yo, cuzzo, it's 1997. I think you should buy Amazon stock. You don't buy it. 2002, he calls you, yo, cuzzo, I think you should buy some Netflix. I'm hearing good things about it. You don't buy it. He calls you in 2020. Says, yo, cuz, you got to buy this company that produces gaming cards, video cards. It's called NVIDIA. Jump on it while you can. You don't buy it. Those are 3 of the most valuable stocks in the world right now. But because you never forgave your cousin for not selling those candy bars the way y'all discussed, you don't trust him. So when he calls, because of your unforgiveness, you've now missed major opportunities. And all your cousin wanted to do was show you love. That is the kind of trap that we fall into. The issue becomes unforgiveness. Make sense? Y'all feeling that? All right, good. So let's go to the next issue. Well, wait a second. Before I do that, I said it was pragmatic, right? So I always got to give you some resources. Those are all my points that I forgot to slide to. Let's go over them again. Unforgiveness keeps us hanging on to the wounds of the past. While we're holding on to wounds, it hinders our ability to heal and grow. Unforgiveness creates blind spots. You could have had that net worth of 10 mil just like your cuz. He was trying desperately to hook you up. But those blind spots led to missed opportunities. So, when we talk about unforgiveness, the goal is to get to forgiveness. Here are some of my favorite resources. First one is the bait of Satan. Now, the bait of Satan. The bait is the important part. It's the bait that Satan places in front of us. Unforgiveness is the bait. When we decide to go over there and pick it up and let it grow in our hearts, it starts causing us all kind of issues. The bait of Satan takes you step by step through the forgiveness process, allowing you to move forward from those unforgiveness moments that you've had in your life. The second one is an article that I found very interesting. It's called Forgiveness, Letting Go of Grudges and Bitterness. All you have to do is go to the mayoclinic.org and search for the article. I'm stepping out the way in case y'all want to take pictures, because for everybody who asks me, can I get the slides? One day. But I'm telling you now, when I leave here, I'm going to start thinking about something else. Okay? So take those pictures. I get out your way again. So the next issue. LA, when am I supposed to stop talking so I can time myself? 10 minutes. Wow. All right. Issue number 1. All right, 10 minutes. So the second issue is unresolved trauma. Trauma is severe emotional and mental distress caused by an experience. It's also an experience that causes severe anxiety or emotional distress. We all got trauma. What is the result of unresolved trauma? It's right there. Failing to address childhood trauma and its unrecognized impact. That's unresolved trauma. It's also failing to recognize how unresolved trauma shapes our adult relationships, including marriage and parenting. L.A. told me that when you talk about rooted in the past, I want you to talk about how this stuff affects your relationships with your children and your wife or your spouse. So I'm going to talk about it. So trauma tends to stick with us until we realize it's become big enough that it's negatively impacting our day-to-day. Most of us will not take action on trauma until it has gotten that big. You know what that's like? That's like having a growth on the side of your leg. You see it when it's just like a pimple, but you know, it ain't nothing. Then you look down like, starting to swell up. You got a doctor, you just don't like going to him. You wait another year, man, and that joker is hanging off the side of your leg. Everybody asks you about it. Yo, bro, what's that on your leg? Oh, it's nothing, it's nothing, it's nothing. That's how most of us handle trauma. We can have this thing hanging off the side of our leg. And people will bring it up to you like, yo, you all right? You good? Yeah, it's nothing, it's nothing. Don't worry about it. Just a moment. Don't worry about it. Trauma is one of those things that affects you physically. Shows up as stress. Stress is horrible. Too much cortisol is the chemical that affects us. Most of us, as black men, live with a higher normal level of cortisol than our counterparts. Because we all know we got a little bit more to worry about in these great United States of America. So that manifests itself in all manner of diseases, diabetes, high blood pressure, you name it, we got it. We have to be careful, we have to be aware. So we have to address childhood trauma. I'm gonna move faster because LA said I had now probably 8 minutes. I'm not very time aware, so you know. So one more story. I already told you I grew up in Virginia Beach suburbs. I'm gonna give you another idea how that looked. There were about 200 houses in our neighborhood. 3 of those houses had black families. I don't know what percentage that is, but it's pretty low. Growing up as a kid, Pastor Ferb can probably verify this. I had big eyes and had a big mouth. I had a very quick wit. I enjoyed sparring with words. A lot of the times, the sparring went from words to hands. I didn't mind that much either. But I wasn't a big kid. Yeah, I wasn't this. I was middle of the road. Nothing noticeable. Right around average. So, as the black kid in an almost all-white school with a big mouth who likes sparring and embarrassing people with my words, I mean, I got in a few scrapes every now and again. In the neighborhood, at school. I got tested a lot. And I did pretty well. I'm happy to say. Until one day. Everybody say until one day. Until one day I got off that bus. And in middle school, 7th grade, I had embarrassed a 9th grader. Now, he was a 9th grader who was supposed to be an 11th grader. Y'all feel me? Yeah, he was a 9th grader that was supposed to be an 11th grader. I get off the bus, I'm smiling. I didn't really have a pimp walk back then, y'all. I'm trying to dip now, and really it's because my hip hurt. But I got off the bus, and usually it was just like me and one other person. And I'm walking towards the house, and the next thing I hear is, Jason! And before I could turn around, my man has jumped off the bus and is punching me dead in the back of my head. Okay. I try to go into action. This dude, man, come on. 7th versus 11th grade, hardly stood a chance, but I scrapped my tail off. I got from about half a block away all the way to my doorstep. When I get to the doorstep, I can't believe it. My mom's home early. She's never home early. She's home early. I start banging on the window while we fight. I need some help. Get me out of this. She opens up the door. What's going on out here? I'm like, yeah, dude, you about to catch it. She's like, what's going on? I'm like, Ma, woo! He jumped off the bus, punched me in the back of the head. What y'all think my mom did? What? She from Chesterfield Heights. She said, well, when you finish handling it, some Kool-Aid and a sandwich aside for you. That was my experience. So it was probably going into 9th grade when I hit my growth spurt. Beginning of the year, my knees started hurting. Man, and by the time I came back from the summertime, my knees were still hurting, but I had grown about 6 inches. It's pretty significant. I went from about 5'6" to where I am now. A lot of that testing all of a sudden stopped. But the trauma had already taken place. Because during those past 2 years, I was doing this. I was looking over my shoulder for the next fight. And trust me, the next fights came. My big mouth got me into a fight with the football team in the locker room. I didn't say football players. I said with the football team. Next thing I know, I'm up in the air. 6 guys carrying me to the shower. The only thing that saved me that day was the football coach walked around the corner. Scott, what are you doing in the air? Get down from there. That's my life. It was a great time. But the trauma of all that testing, people trying to bully me, it set me up. Set me up in a negative way. I didn't expect to get taller. But when I did, damage was done. I'm already accustomed to looking over my shoulder. By the time I get to the 9th grade, it's not that I'm just looking over my shoulder. When the hairs go up on the back of my neck, I don't ask questions. I get preemptive. So now, what? And it's on. Hair trigger. Now, when you 5'6" and you scrappy, you're like, yo, I hope little guy get him. When you get to be 6'2" and you're looking down at just about all your classmates and you jumping on them, the optics change. Then when you go to Norfolk State and you discover the weight room and you put on, you go from 175 pounds to 205 pounds. You in the 300-pound club. Everybody know what that means? For those of you all who don't know what it means I was benching over 300 pounds. Okay? Still going to the basketball court, looking over my shoulder. Hard foul, come on, bro. Take that easy. Hard foul, come on, man. Just play ball. Hard foul, bruh. And there it was. I'm at the basketball court fighting longshoremen. That went on until my college roommates pulled me to the side. LA, I'm going to go over by about 4 minutes, man. About 4 minutes. They pulled me to the side. They didn't know it, but they had an intervention. Said, Jay, we always going to have you back, man, but you got to slow this thing down. We don't like the way this is heading. Every time we go to the basketball court, you're trying to fight somebody. What are you trying to prove? They highlighted to me that my trauma was controlling me. I had some choices to make. Now, that's my trauma. Let me bring in somebody else's trauma so I can tie it into relationships and marriage. So Dr. S.O.S, back in 90, I called her Shorty. I still call her Shorty. Y'all can't call her Shorty. I call her Shorty. Okay? S.O.S, for y'all that don't know her, is about 5'2". I'm a foot taller than she is. We were dating for about 2 to 3 months. And we hadn't really gone into that phase where, hey, I want you to meet my parents. So I had not met her parents. She had not met mine. I was accustomed to spending a little bit of time with her, you know. We became almost instant friends. We enjoyed hanging out, talking. So I would probably talk to her about twice a day. We picked up a rhythm of talking to each other. And then I paged her one day. Y'all heard that, right? I paged her. The page probably said, hit me. And she didn't call me back. That was kind of unusual. I paged her again and again. I didn't want to look desperate, but I'm thinking something might be wrong. I paged her about 6 times. And all that day, she didn't call me back. So I'm a man with pride. I didn't really jump on the page the next day. I tried to keep it cool. But she actually didn't page me the next day either. It was 2 days before she paged me, or called me back, rather. And she comes on the phone with this really weak voice. Hey, like, why are you whispering? My throat hurts. Like, you sick? Not really sick. Like, well, if you're not really sick, why are you whispering? And she tells me that the boyfriend, her ex, that she had broken up with, she had to go get her stuff from the apartment. And when she went over there, he beat her to within an inch of her life. So I say immediately, where are you? I need to see you. And she gives me her parents' address. I walk in the door to see Shorty laying on the couch, basically looking like the Elephant Man. That's how I met her parents, under that kind of stress and duress. Now, I've already told you a little bit about who I was back then. I immediately wanted details on where dude was. How do I have a conversation with him? She wouldn't tell me. Because dude was an official gun-toting NRA member. I like to fight, he liked to shoot. So she decided she would protect me from some of her trauma. She did her best. So she healed up. Our relationship keeps developing. We're at her parents' house one day, and we're playing. We're wrestling. Her favorite wrestler, who y'all think her favorite wrestler was? Real quick. Whoa, somebody said it. Woo! Nature Boy. So, I mean, she's beat me down. Boom, boom, boom. She thinks it's hilarious, right? Because she can punch me and do all this stuff and it don't hurt me. Boom, 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 right? So eventually I had enough of it. I'm laughing, I'm joking, I'm having a good time, but now it's time for me to get mine. Not in that way, for me to get my licks in, you know. So I pick her up, take her over to the couch, and I lay her stomach first over my knee. And I take my right hand, I say, oh, you think you're Ric Flair, huh? Pow, pow, pow. And I playfully spanked her about 2 or 3 times and let her up, and I'm laughing. I thought she was laughing, but she disappeared for a second. She went through one exit, and you could come around the other side. So she went that way down the hallway, but she came back around this way. I'm still laughing and chuckling. I don't know what I was distracted by, but I was distracted. Until I felt metal touch my neck. She had gone and got a butcher knife, placed it to my neck, and told me, if you ever decide to hit me again, I will cut you wide open. You could have bought my face for a penny in that moment. I thought she was playing at first, but then that blade was on my neck, the sharp end. She takes it off. She disappears back to the kitchen. She puts the butcher knife back in the butcher's block. Comes back out. Hey, babe, where you want to go to lunch? I thought it was Fatal Attraction. That was her trauma that I had just bumped into unknowingly. That's what trauma is capable of doing. That set her on the path to becoming Dr. S.O.S, by the way. So it works out if you take control of it. I'm going to wind this up, wind this down. I'm not going to go to the third issue. I'll let you see it real quick. Here are your resources for trauma. The Invisible Ache, Black Men Identifying Their Pain and Reclaiming Their Power by Courtney B. Vance, the actor. The Beautiful Wife, it's Angela Bassett. Then we have Finding a Path Through Trauma, which is at psychcentral.com. Take a picture. Definitely grab the book. If you guys don't like reading, get the audio book, please. So the third issue, went past it, is Untreated Mental Illness. That was going to be the third story. Mental illnesses are health conditions involving changes in emotion, thinking, or behavior. They can be associated with distress and or problems functioning in social, work, or family activities. I'll figure out a way to get that to y'all. I guess I owe it to you. So in review, these are the three issues that I think are the biggest that we face in being rooted in the past. They are unforgiveness, unresolved trauma, and untreated mental illness. Let me go and give you the, let me see, what's next? So, you'll have the opportunity to join me if you want to in a no-cost virtual session to you all. And as it happens, I thought I might not get to the third one, but we'll pick up and we'll talk about forgiveness in the virtual session. Click on the QR code, sign up, RSVP, so I know that you're coming. So on July 31st in the evening, all the info is there. And since I know we didn't cover the third one, the third issue, I'll cover it during this session. So in closing, I want to thank LA for inviting me out today. I want to thank Pastor LJ, Lady Keisha, of course, Bishop and Elder. It's been fantastic that they would once again allow me to share this platform. Thank you, sir.
Amen. Amen. Clap your hands to Pastor Jason Scott.
10 seconds. 10 seconds. 10 seconds, because I wrote this close, and thank you all very much. But it says, gentlemen, you sit here in this temple of God as one of the best trained, best educated, best equipped, best prepared troops. And surely we will come against evil rulers and authorities of the unseen world, against mighty powers in this dark world, and against evil spirits in heavenly places. I encourage you to take up the armor of God and fight the power. Thank you.
Great word, great word.
Thanks, sir. Appreciate you.
Listen, fellas, I know that this is a deep session right here because it's talk about rooting the past. Trauma is something that really affects all of us. I know at one time at Man Cave Monday, we did an ACEs test. ACEs test tell you about your adverse childhood experiences. And we all have them, whether we realize it or not. For me, to be transparent, when I was growing up, my mom used to always call me dumb and stupid. So I got to the point where I didn't think I was smart. So I didn't try in high school. I didn't even have a plan after high school. But one teacher believed in me and told me that I could. And that one teacher propelled me to get 3 degrees. When my mom told me I was dumb. That's childhood trauma. Also, we look at it as when we grow up, the misnomers of manhood, right? What was the first thing your uncles asked you when they saw you? How many girls you got? Right or wrong? So then you begin to associate your manhood to how many girls you're messing with. So now it's embedded in your head that I'm not a man unless I got a lot of girls. Which is why when you see women today, y'all always turn y'all head because y'all think y'all supposed to have more than one girl. But that's all attributed to your childhood and the misnomers of manhood. Manhood is not having as many girls as you can. Manhood is not collecting as many numbers as you can. That's not manhood. Manhood is being a provider and a husband to your wife and a father to your children. That's what manhood is about. So these are the things I wanted us to kind of dive into as we're talking about trauma and unforgiveness. Like, are you forgiving those that hurt you? Because unforgiveness is like drinking poison and expecting somebody else to die. No, you got to be able to forgive for yourself. It's not about them. So these are some great points that Jason brought up, and I'm glad that he was able to do that. Now my good friend Dominique Epps is here, and there's something that we always say in our mentoring sessions, right? It pays to pay attention. So right now, I got 3 gift cards. And at the end of these 3 sessions, I'm going to ask you questions about each session. And if somebody can answer the questions, you're going to get a gift card. All right? And you know, either big or go home. So these ain't no little $15, $10 Chick-fil-A gift cards. So make sure you pay attention and be attentive to what these men are saying because they're pointing out some great information. Now we're going to take a quick 5-minute break, go get some water, maybe another snack, and then we'll be back in here at 10:25. Thank y'all.